Hello, welcome to Tropicana Field. It is 72 and cloudy. That is exactly how we like it. Whoa, and we got baseballs coming right through here. As you can see, we got batting practice going on behind me. We are getting balls launched at us, and you almost witnessed me get a concussion on this Facebook Live. That would have been quite the viral video. Angela, you need to sacrifice your body here. But we do have a baseball here to commemorate opening day, so I'm going to act all cool now that I got this. Hello and welcome. Let's do that again. The team playing its 25th year here in St. Pete, but it's the 26th season. And what's interesting is on March 31st, 1998, we had our first sold-out crowd inside Tropicana Field with the Rays, I should say the Devil Rays back then, playing the Detroit Tigers. The Devil Rays did not win that day, but that was the start of a new era here in St. Pete. And now, almost 25 years to the day, we're a day early, we get the Rays playing the Tigers in the same building. We're going to have a sold-out crowd as well, so that's going to be fantastic. Of course, a lot of expectations for this team. The continuity from this group is impressive. Talking with Kevin Cash yesterday, he said he's never been on a squad that year over year has looked almost identical to what we ended last year with. There were only two new players on this squad, Zach Eflin, a starting pitcher, and Kevin Kelly, a relief pitcher. Everyone else you're going to recognize. Maybe they weren't on the opening day roster last year, but nonetheless, they were on the team. You've seen them before. They've had major league experience. As you can see right below, we got our favorite Stingray tank ready to go. A couple of baseballs from batting practice flew up here as the team is finally done. They realized they couldn't hit me and they wanted to get off the field. Figured it was a fruitless effort. But I want to show you some of the new changes here at Tropicana Field because it's going to look different. First, I'm sorry, I got to turn Adam back around. You'll notice immediately walking in, big, beautiful Jumbotron. This is not the Tecmo Bowl type of look that we're used to. This is 4K, this is sweet. Obviously, the aesthetics in this building have been something that people have talked about ad nauseum ever since it opened in 1998. But that is a nice improvement, even as we're trying to figure out if we can get a new stadium here built in St. Pete or Tampa, for that matter. But the biggest talking point, as it looks like we're having a meeting here about it, is something called the shortstop. I love talking about it because it is so cool. So what's going to happen here is you will walk up, you will insert your payment. So once you insert your payment, these cameras, which are littered all over the shortstop, are going to recognize your movements. Now, once you walk in, you can grab whatever you want. I mean, there's still going to be limits on drinks, as you can see, 2-drink limit. So you can't just go in and snag 12 beers here. But you can grab a couple of beverages. You can also grab peanuts, Cracker Jacks, candy, bottled water, bottled soda. So this isn't just about beer or Truly or whatever matter. What do they got? Naturals, whatever. It changes every day. But once you pick it up, you scoop it up, you walk out the dang door. You don't, and then you can hit. Were you satisfied with the experience? Yeah, you were satisfied with it. You didn't have to wait in any line. So that's the really cool thing out here in center field that I love showing people. Brand new, no waiting in line to get your stuff. I mean, obviously your concessions are still open. Grilled cheese is over here. We have the beans and barley with the monster ice creams over there. So center field is certainly where you want to go if you want to have an experience here in Tropicana Field. And of course, you don't get a bad look either, as we're just waiting for more home run balls to fly out of the ballpark. So let's talk a little bit about this team. Shane McClanahan will be on the bump. We didn't know if he was going to be the opening day starter a few weeks back, a month back, when beginning spring training, mostly because Tyler Glasnow was healthy. We thought maybe Glasnow would reassert himself as the opening day starter, but of course he had an oblique strain. He's injured, so Glasnow has started the season on the injured list. The hope is for him to return sometime in the beginning of May. So if that happens, we're all good. Nobody's going to complain about that. He was going to be on an innings limit anyway, so really, it could be no harm, no foul, because at some point the Rays would have to dial him back. So Shane McClanahan, the former USF product, will take the bump for his second consecutive opening day He had a pretty decent one last year. He didn't record the win because he didn't make it to 5 innings, but the Rays did record that win against the Baltimore Orioles. When you look at the lineup, people are healthy for now, and it needs to stay that way for this team to bop some hits and some home runs, because last year watching this team score runs was really rough. We know what this team is going to do with pitching. McClanahan, Jeffrey Springs just signed a 4-year, $31 million contract. You can head to our YouTube page to see a full interview I did with him yesterday. Drew Rasmussen, phenomenal last year. He comes back. Zach Eflin, he signed the largest free agent contract in franchise history. And then you bring back Glasnow. That's one of the best starting rotations out there. Don't listen to any national publications. They're not going to give Tampa Bay the respect it deserves. That is a formidable group. Then you have Fairbanks and Jason Adam as sort of your 8th inning, 9th inning guy. We know that this team is going to have tremendous relief pitchers throughout, so we're never really worried about them there. But when it comes to the hitting, Yandy Diaz dealt with some injuries. Wander Franco dealt with some injuries. We had a quad issue pop up before opening day, but Wander Franco is in the starting lineup. He feels close to 100% is what he told us yesterday or a couple days before. Not to mention, there are some changes of who will not be here. Kevin Kiermaier, he's gone, he's in Toronto. Brett Phillips, we saw him leave. He got released last year, and he's now with the LA Angels, a nice local product. Mike Zunino, he didn't play last year due to injury pretty much, and he's now off with the Cleveland Guardians, the team that knocked out the Rays in the postseason. So they've extracted players from the roster, especially hitting-wise. We get to see Brandon Lau back, who dealt with a back issue for most of the 2022 season. But if everyone could stay healthy, which talking with people in the organization, they believe last year was a bit of a fluke. They never really had that many injuries to the hitters before. They believe that the hitting will resurface. Maybe it won't be exactly what we saw in 2021 when they won the AL East again, but it's going to be pretty good. As for Detroit, they're supposed to be a bad team. These are games that you kind of have to pick up. They play the Tigers. They play the Athletics in this building early on. These are kind of wins you have to have, because once we hit May, the schedule is going to pick up, and you'll hear from me telling you that it's a gauntlet. So get some wins underneath your belt. We have a ton of opening day stats on 10 Tampa Bay. David Belleville does a phenomenal job. He was telling me that in years they made the postseason, the Rays are 4-4 on opening day, so it does not matter. And also, the Rays leader for home runs on opening day is, of course, Evan Longoria. Speaking of some former Rays, I'm going to just take you around the ballpark. Fans are going to be let in here around 1:05, so very soon we'll see some people out here. I can't tell if that's Sean Armstrong out there or Jeffrey Springs. Armstrong also on the IL for the Rays, but this team is in a pretty good spot entering opening day. And it's very quiet now. It's pretty eerie. 12:45, first pitch at 3:10, and the Tigers are now getting set up on the field as the groundskeeping crew is doing their thing, but they're going to take batting practice at 10:50. There are a lot of expectations for this team. Kevin Cash, Eric Neander, whoever we talked to, they said that we expect to do a lot better than just make the playoffs. It's a good thing that just making the playoffs is now the bottom bar. That's the way it should be, right? They've done it the last couple of years after making the World Series, again coming up empty in that pandemic World Series situation. But now they have to get above that. They need to figure it out. Going to the postseason 4 straight years, the organization is in a totally different spot than what we saw in 1998 entering this building. They're in a totally different spot than what we saw in 2008 in this building. They are a consistent winner in arguably the best division in baseball, and they believe that they have the talent to win a World Series. I would argue they probably would need a big bat at the trade deadline if they're going to make that happen, if they can prove that they're picking up the wins, but that's a discussion we can have at a later point. Eric Neander spoke ad nauseum during the offseason, saying they tried to get some hitters. They weren't going to force it. The guys that they wanted, it didn't work out, and they decided to go with the continuity route, which isn't the worst thing, because if you look at a guy like Nathaniel Lowe, who's on Texas right now, who the Rays kind of gave up on a little bit early. Jake Cronenworth of San Diego, a guy that they traded maybe a little bit before he popped off. Some guys have experienced success away from Tampa Bay, and you wonder if maybe the organization wasn't patient enough with some of these prospects. So that remains to be seen. We're gonna find that one out. But entering opening day, we do believe that this is a playoff caliber team, a team that's going to limit the runs given up. They might not score a boatload, but I would say that if the Rays have immense success this year, it's because they score more than 4 runs or 4 or more runs per game. If they hit 4 runs per game, I think most times they're going to win that contest. I'm pretty confident in that statistic as we enter the end of the year. So I want to show you one more time, if I don't know, Adam, if you could sneak up there, the unveiling of that 2022 wild card banner that's going to be released. You kind of seeing it over there. You're doing a great job. I appreciate you. We're stuck here in center field. I leave it up to the public to discuss whether we should be having banner droppings for a wild card appearance. Especially with the addition of more teams. Certainly an accomplishment. Is it the end goal? I don't know. Compared to what we see there with an AL East championship, an American League championship. The days of, going back to 2008 where the history of this place starts, those days are over. These banners are racking up. I don't know how much more room they have. So as far as the opening day ceremonies go, what will happen is around 2:35, 2:40, the Tigers will get introduced. Then we'll have all the Rays players get introduced. We'll have the national anthem. James Shields is in the house. He's going to throw out the first pitch, which is really cool as we celebrate this 25th year of Rays baseball. This will be the first year that the Rays also have a Hall of Fame, very similar to what the Lightning did for year 30, and they kind of had that inaugural class. They're going to have that inaugural class this year. Don Zimmer is actually going to be honored on Sunday. You'll get a bobblehead if you show up to the stadium with that. We got one in our office. It's one of their better ones, right next to that Randy Arozarena slide at the home base. That's my new favorite in the office. We'll also celebrate Carl Crawford later this year. So we're going to finally have some more history underneath our belt to talk about with this team, and hopefully at the end of this year, history is made with a boat parade as we're celebrating a World Series championship. So we're going to head out here. My wins prediction for the Rays is going to be 91 this year. I think they will make the playoffs. What they do with it, we'll talk about that at another time, because if it's based on injuries, it's based on how the rotation looks. But I am confident in this group. I love the vibes in the clubhouse. They're confident. It's a pretty good group. They're not talked about enough nationally, but this is a darn good baseball team we're going to watch this year in St. Pete. So thank you for joining us on Facebook Live. Remember, we have more content on our website, 10tampabay.com. You can head over to our YouTube page. As I mentioned before, I did a one-on-one interview with Jeffrey Springs. Earned a 4-year, $31 million contract, was a career reliever. He was on his 3rd team in 5 years, and then lands into a wonderful situation. They throw him on the mound to start, and then the rest seemingly is history. We'll see him pitch on Sunday for that bobblehead day. So, again, thank you for joining us on Facebook Live. You can leave some comments on this page if you have predictions, whatnot. We'll chime in where we can. But have a great one, and enjoy this national holiday of ours.